The problem a lot of people have is they spend their entire day frying the chickens. I fry my chickens in the morning and I get it over with.
Welcome to Fry Your Chickens, the podcast about facing fears, negativities, and self-doubts that can hold us back. Or as I like to call them, chickens. Get ready because it's time to tell those chickens that are holding you back to shut the cluck up. We will learn how real people did exactly that. I'm your host, Phil Barth. Let's get ready to fry. Welcome to this week's episode of Fry Your Chickens. My guest is Rich Sirop, the co-executive producer for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and executive producer for a ton of other shows. You don't want to hear me talk anymore. You want to hear Rich. Let's get to it. Rich, I have really been looking forward to this one. We talked recently, reconnected after a number of years. You were my associate producer on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I know you don't remember me specifically, but that's okay. I've just been looking forward to sitting down, kind of talking about your history of game shows and what you've been up to more recently. So welcome to Fry Your Chickens.
I did remember you. I remembered you 100% when you contacted me on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me." 100% remember. I don't remember everybody, but I did actually remember your story. And thank you for having me on the show.
Wow, that's fantastic. How did you get your start on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
I was working as a temp for another place, making pretty good money as a temp. And I really wanted to get back into TV. I had fallen out of TV for a little bit. It's a very hard business to break into. And I just called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire every day to see who I knew there. I ended up realizing I knew a production assistant on the show. And I said, anything that you have, any job that you have, I'll take it, any job. And eventually he got tired of me and said, we have a job for one day answering the phones, one day. So I got a job answering the phones. And I quit this temp job, 4 months of income to answer the phones. And on the first day, I'm watching the show. Regis Philbin is the host. And Michael Davies, I thought was a contestant, but he was the executive producer of the show. He's got a British accent, very charming man. And I thought I was watching the actual show. So this contestant gets stuck and he needs the phone a friend. And Regis says, okay, let's call the phone a friend. And my phone starts actually ringing. And I pick up the phone, not even thinking it could potentially be them, because I thought I was watching the actual show. And it's Regis Philbin on the other line. Now, the question was about philosophy, and one of the choices was Martin Buber. And Regis starts yelling at me on the phone, "What do you know about Buber, kid?" And I said, "I know nothing about Bubers," and hung up the phone. That was the beginning of my... And Regis said, "He hung up on me? Is that what just happened? This kid hung up on me?" And it became such a funny bit that everybody was coming up to me saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did that with Regis." That was totally an accident. And then the woman who was in charge of all of the production said, "We want you to come back for another day. We want you to come back for another week." And then it became a month. And within a month, I was already an associate producer. And I eventually became a co-executive producer of the entire show. I think it took me 2 years from when I took that job for one day until I actually became the co-executive producer of the entire show.
That's fantastic. You've obviously spent some time working with Regis and Meredith. What was it like? Let's start with Regis. What was it like working with Regis?
Regis is, in my opinion, top 3 broadcasters to ever live. I really feel that way. I think David Letterman, I think Howard Stern is on that list, and Regis is on that list. Regis could take anything and make it better. Anything. I had a contestant once and just was giving me nothing. Nothing. No hobbies, nothing fun, no family, nothing. People used to come in through the phone game. We weren't doing casting back then. So you could get anybody. And so I went up to this guy, and his name was Jim. I'm not going to tell you his last name. And I said, what do you got? Come on, you got to have to something. I said, "You got a nickname?" He goes, "No, I never had a nickname." So I go downstairs to Regis and I go, "Listen, the guy's got nothing, but I think we can work with it." He goes, "What do you got?" I said, "He's never had a nickname." And right away, Regis got it. He goes, "The guy's never had a nickname. Today he's getting a nickname, Jimbo." And the entire thing became about this guy all of a sudden becoming accepted. Because think about it, if you never had a nickname, you've never felt like you belonged, and all of a sudden Regis Philbin sitting across from you calling you Jimbo, you're starting to feel comfortable. You're starting to feel like you belong. You play better on the show. He could take ordinary and make it great.
Wow. How about Meredith Vieira? What was working with Meredith like?
She was the thing about Regis, he was great, but the second a contestant left the show, he forgot they ever existed. I don't think he really cared what happened one way or the other. I mean, sure, he's happy in the moment, so he won $1 million, but he just was the host. And Meredith really genuinely cared about every single contestant that walked through those doors. And she would do everything she could to make them have a good experience, to make them win money on the show. She wanted them to succeed more than she wanted it to be a good show. And she was great at making it a good show too. She was funny, she was charming, she was charismatic, but she really cared about the contestants. And people don't, you know this, but not a lot of people know this. She wrote a personal note to every single contestant that was ever on the show. And that's in syndication. That's two contestants an episode, 195 episodes a year. She did the show for I don't know how many years, 8 years. We're talking about thousands of letters. I'd be trying to prep her for the show for the next segment. I'm not ready. I got to write this note first. And she would make sure that she wrote every single note and every single note got mailed. She was as genuine and authentic as they come. And we always just say Meredith cuts through glass. When she looks into the camera, she's in the room with you. She's not on the other side of the camera. She's your friend. She's on your side. And she was just lovely. Meredith's still a good friend to this day.
I I was blown away when I got that in the mail. I was like, "Holy crap!" Handwritten from
Yeah.
Meredith Vieira. It blew me away, and I did get to experience some of that off stage. I was on 2 days shows, where you go backstage, back to the room, change your outfit, come back, and somebody was trying to hustle me out to the stage, or hustle Meredith or one or the other, and Meredith was busy talking to me, and she
Right.
wanted to finish up the conversation before the next show.
And she always cared. Meredith's one of the most generous hosts I've ever met, whether it be a celebrity or a co-host or a contestant on a game show. And she would never upstage anybody. She would always try to hand them the joke, hand them the moment, or make the joke with them. And that was your experience was, you know, one you'll never forget. When you were with Meredith, it's one you'll never forget because she takes good care of people when they're at their most vulnerable on a game show. Nowadays, people are so used to social media and phones and picking up. People are on video all the time. But when you were on the show, it wasn't normal to go in front of a studio audience with all these cameras pointing at you and lights. It was terrifying. And she was so good at managing that. And I have a funny story about Meredith. She's also very funny, but she was so easy to fool around with and have a good time, and didn't take herself too seriously. She had a contestant on the show, and the question was about which TV show made the saying famous. That's what she said. And the contestant, and of course, the answer is The Office. Now, the contestant is wavering, and they don't really know, and they're not sure, and they said to Meredith, "I just don't want to go down on this." And I say in her ear, "That's what she said," because I give her jokes, right? That's part of my job. And she doesn't say it. And I come out in the break and I say, "What's going on?" She goes, "What are you talking about?" I go, "The contestant gets a question. That's what she said. They actually say, I don't want to go down on this. Somehow, miraculously, I hand you the softball. That's what she said. And you don't say it." And she goes, "Who said that?" She just had never heard the saying. But like, you could just laugh. And then if once something like that happened with Meredith, you could tease her about it forever. She would tease you back. It was a friendship. Where a lot of times with celebrities on big game shows, it's a one-way conversation. You can't feel comfortable enough to actually really be your best. But she allowed producers, contestants, everybody to be their best.
She's, yeah, fantastic. I love that story too. So she had never watched The Office. Dang.
She didn't even, and Meredith's so dirty. Like she's got a very dirty sense of humor. I think everybody knows that. I think it's a well-known thing. But she didn't like that's why I thought she'd love that joke. She'd
Yeah.
run with that joke. But then another time I really screwed her over bad. This guy had a question about Star Wars, and his producer was standing next to me. And the producer goes, oh my God, he has a dog named Jabba the Mutt." So I thought, this is crazy. So in Meredith's ear, I go, "This guy actually has a dog named Jabba the Mutt." And she leans into me. She goes, "I understand this is a perfect question for you because you have a dog named Jabba the Mutt." And the guy goes, "I used to. He died."
Oh shoot.
And somehow I still had my head on my shoulders by the end of the day. That shows you how exceptional Meredith is.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, if you're a contestant, can't you just say, "Yeah, I have a dog"? You really got to bring down the whole audience,
I see. I would. I'd be like, yes, yes, I do.
right? Just pretend the dog's still alive.
Yeah. Oh, I learned early on, don't put the number of pets you have on an introduction for a keynote because the number can change. But what I don't do is Phil and his wife and 3 dogs. I don't come out and go, by the way, it's only 2 now. It's just like,
Right? Who cares?
yeah,
Nobody
nobody's
cares.
going to raise their hand and go, was it really 3 dogs?
No, people want to be entertained.
Yes, exactly.
They don't want you to lie to them, but
No.
they also don't want you to. I used to tell contestants in the briefing, if you're out there and the host says to you, "I understand you love this show so much, you drove through a blizzard to get to your audition." Please don't say, "Well, technically a blizzard is blah 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 blah, and it was really a snowstorm." Nobody cares.
No, no, no. It was a blizzard, period.
Right.
So, Rich, you've worked with a lot of celebrities. What do you think the difference is between a celebrity and just the average person on the street?
100% belief, and they will not allow anything to stop them. When Regis was doing Millionaire, he had a question, and it was, which one of these deserts has red sand? And he read it, which one of these deserts has red sand? And then the audience laughed because he made a mistake that anybody could make. I've made that mistake before. But instead of getting humiliated and turning red and going, "Oh my God, I'm such an imposter. He went ahead and made it a bit. He read all of them. Is it the Sahara dessert? Is it the Mojave dessert?" Each one of them as a dessert. And the audience was now laughing and crying. And then he started screaming at random people, "What's the matter? You never made a mistake before in your life?" He turned it into a whole bit for himself. He capitalized on his own mistake because it didn't make him believe that he wasn't good enough. He knew he was Regis. That's the thing. They know, look, come on. I'm this great talent. I know that I have this, but we all have it. But the people that believe it are the ones that are able to rise up.
After Millionaire, you were executive producer for some other shows, the Meredith Vieira show, Masterminds, Flipside. Were there others?
Oh my God, so many shows. Yeah. Yeah, I've done collectible shows for A&E. I did a show for history. I've done so many game shows for GSN. I've created shows. I did Barstool Sports, live
Oh,
from
nice.
Houston with Michael Davies, World Series of Darts, on and on and on. I've done a ton of different things
So,
on
one
TV.
one of them that I found an episode. It was a kids show, Judge Puppet. I found
Yeah.
I found an episode on YouTube, and it was targeted for kids, but I was sitting there laughing at it.
Well,
So,
here's the thing. That show was never supposed to be a show for kids. That show was me mishearing what somebody said at a bar. I was with an agent and he said, "I have this client, he has a new show." And he said the show. And I said, "Oh my God, that's brilliant. I heard Judge Puppet." I said, "That's brilliant. So the puppet is the judge?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "What's the name of the show?" And he told me again. I go, "All right, forget it. I gotta go." And because I needed to immediately come up with this concept. And the concept was it's a normal show like Judge Judy, where people have real disputes and they come in and they think they're on a judge show and they don't know that the judge is a puppet. And the bailiff comes out and he says, "All rise for the Honorable Judge Puppet." And out from underneath the desk comes a puppet. The puppet, I had a deal signed with Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg was going to be the puppet of this show. It was going to be a daytime show with a puppet as the judge. Then once people start getting heated about who hit the car with the trash can, even though they might be upset that it's a puppet at first, eventually they're going to start pleading and arguing with the puppet, which would make it brilliant. So we had the show, and then Whoopi realized that she had to do 5 of these a day and said, "I'm not doing 5 of these a day." And so she was gone, and the show kept. Then all of a sudden, then I had to deal with Alf's, the person that voiced Alf. We were going to partner with that person, but they're not funny. They
uh,
might be, but it's not the same as having a comedian. And eventually, it wound up with this other company who said, "Well, we want to do this thing for Dreamscape. We're going to turn it to more of a kids show." And it became the thing about the Tooth Fairy, which it was good, but it really was more meant to be people screaming and arguing about their petty differences, almost like Crank Yankers, but real.
yeah. Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But that said, the Tooth Fairy episode was very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny that you pulled that one out.
Just that's what showed up on YouTube. I said, it looks interesting. So if you're checking it out on YouTube, check out the Tooth Fairy on Judge
And
Puppet.
write a letter to whoever you need to write it to get Judge Puppet as an actual show with real people with real debates.
Honestly, I think that would be a relief from all of the Judge Judy type shows.
Totally. It's funny. It's funny. It's like fry your chickens or anything else.
Yeah,
It reframes things and lets you see it through a different light.
exactly. So recently, you've kind of taken on a new role, and it's Rich Syrup coaching. And first off, just tell me about that and what you're
So
doing.
yeah, I'm a mindset and transformation coach, and I began doing this really because it's what I did as a producer for so many years. I had hosts that needed to be trained to learn how to actually host the game show. I had contestants who were freaked out that needed to find their confidence. I had 150 people working for me on my staff who needed to learn the business and be mentored. And then at some point, I think when I was going through my divorce, I just hit rock bottom. I couldn't get work. I was not feeling good. I had a health crisis. The place I was renting was being sold out from underneath me. So I wasn't gonna be able to live with my kids. And I was really at a bad place in my life. And I just said, well, how do I get out of this? So I started reading all these motivational books. But all these motivational books were written from the point that they had already made it when they were 20. I had $1 million and I did this. And they were making me feel worse. So I started just writing my own motivational book for myself to dig myself out of this hole. And the first chapter, I just said, I don't even know what I'm going to start to write. But the first chapter was about the first step you can take. What is the first step you could take? The first thing you can do to move forward. And by chapter three, I had decided that I was going to make $225,000 that year. And I made zero. And I made zero by March. And I'd made zero by April. And I still was writing. And I was writing new lessons every day. It's about second chances, about karma, about putting good out into the world, about action. And all of a sudden, I got the first job for $10,000. I got another job for $75,000. Even if I had made my rate for the rest of the year, though, I couldn't possibly make 225 at that point. And by December, and I kept writing the book monthly, by December, I was at 190. And I said, I was writing the last chapter. I said, well, if you think I didn't succeed because I only made 190, you don't get the point. The point is to believe. The point is to continue to march forward. The point is to trust the universe. And December 20th, I got a call for a development deal for $35,000
Oh my gosh.
to the penny, 225,000.
Wow.
So manifestation is real. You can't just wish something. You have to believe it and go for it. So once that happened, I realized how much I wanted to help other people with the things I've learned in my career. So I went back to school and I started studying neuro-linguistic programming, which is
Mhm.
what Tony Robbins is trained with. A lot of big coaches are trained in this. So I became a master practitioner, hundreds and hundreds of hours of training. And now I had really amazing tools to actually work with hosts. So I was working with the subconscious personalities of my host to really get the best out of them, and things started to go crazy. I started to make sales in TV that I'd never made before by, mirroring and matching and using people's representational systems and just understanding how to speak to people in a different way. And I just decided one day I want to use this to help people. I've gotten so much out of life. I've played semi-professional baseball in the summer league that was sponsored by Major League Baseball. I was a stand-up comedian. I produced national talk shows and game shows. I really wanted to do something to give back to people. And so I left TV and I started coaching to take the tools that I've learned to help others.
Wow. When you made the leap, were there any chickens you had to fry? Any voices saying, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Or did you just go for it?
No, I fry chickens every day.
Okay.
I think that the problem a lot of people have is they spend their entire day frying the chickens. I fry my chickens in the morning and I get it over with. So if I wake up and something's bothering me and I'm saying, you're not going to make it, this isn't going to work, you're running out of money, no, you're never going to get clients, who's going to be coached by you? All those negative thoughts, everybody has them. I do the work that I know how to do. I use my tools that I have through NLP to get me out of that quickly. Sometimes I'll set a 10-minute timer and I say, for 10 minutes, I'm going to feel nothing but this terrible feeling. I'm not allowed to feel anything but this terrible feeling. And the truth is, after 10 minutes of feeling that terrible feeling, you don't want to feel it again for the rest of the day.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah. And I also know how to disassociate from pain. So this is a tip for anybody. You're going to love this. Anytime that you are feeling a loop, a negative loop that's painful, You're almost definitely associated to it. And by associated, I mean you're seeing it through your eyes. So when you're thinking about something that happened to you in the third grade, or when you're thinking about something that happened, a conversation with your wife that you didn't like the way it went, you're seeing it through your eyes. Everything is up close, and you're up close to the pain. Usually, when you want something in your life and you're trying to visualize it, you're disassociated. You put yourself in a picture and it's far away. You need to reverse that. You want to disassociate from the things that are causing you pain and put yourself in the picture and move it further and further away. So the pain's moving away. And you want to associate to what you want. And when you're visualizing what you want, when you want a number one podcast or whatever it is, you want to now see it through your eyes. You want to see yourself doing the podcast. You want to see the numbers coming through. You want to see the money in your bank account. You don't want to see it from far away. You want to see it up close. So that's another tool, one of the many tools I'll use in the morning to fry my chickens before the day starts.
I love that. And if we go back to when I started my pursuit of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that was what I was doing. I was putting myself in the hot seat. I was seeing myself across from Regis at first and Meredith afterwards.
You were seeing them with your eyes.
Exactly. With my
You
eyes.
associated. That's
Exactly.
right. Good job knowing that. That is so hard to do. A lot of people can't figure that out.
I just, yeah, and it's worked in other areas of my life. Keynote speaking, same deal. I envisioned myself walking out on the stage, delivering the keynote. I didn't envision when I started playing with rubber chickens. That was just a bonus.
But here's why though. When you see it through your eyes, it goes from a goal to a memory. Now it's a memory. So now the gestalt between that thing happening and now your subconscious will move anything that has to move in that direction to make that thing happen. So you getting up and driving to Chicago, wherever you went at 5 in the morning, is your subconscious going, no, we need to make this thing happen. And this is one of the things we need to do to make it happen. Whereas if you're seeing yourself far away, it's kind of like, it's why I don't really believe in end goals. End goals don't work. I'm going to lose 50 pounds doesn't work. Your goal needs to be, I want to get a lot healthier and feel better. And the first step in that is losing 50 pounds. The next step is I'm going to run a 10K. The next step is you have to keep the goals going, because once you hit the end goal, people stop praising you, you stop feeling good about yourself, and you go back to the old behaviors so that you can do it again and feel good again.
Wow. That's really cool. I'm a big fan of Getting Things Done by David Allen, and he always talks about the very next action. So you just focus on what is the next step that will take me there.
Yes, the one thing, the book, The One Thing. That's what that's all about.
One thing. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I will say is by seeing it through my eyes, I was going to be on that show. When I sat in the hot seat, somewhere in my brain, it's like, you've already been here.
Yeah.
You've done this before. It's going to be all right.
And think about this. We have, I think it's 42,000 words we can recognize by the age of 20. And only 7% of how we communicate is verbal. So those 42,000 words, even if you knew every single word and how to interpret every and how to use them correctly, is only going to account for 7% of your success from a communication standpoint. 93% of it is under the surface. So you feeling comfortable that you've already been there actually makes the host feel comfortable that you've already been there. It makes the audience feel comfortable that you've already been there. It starts to feed each other that you've already been there. And then before you know it, you're playing the game exactly as you visualized it.
That's how it worked. Because the other option is to freak out and think,
I had plenty of those people.
there's a million people watching me. What could possibly go wrong?
I used to tell people that were on the show, I would say, do you like roller coasters? If they were freaking out. And if they said yes, I would tell them this story. I would say, well, the show's a lot like a roller coaster. When you see a roller coaster, you go to an amusement park, you can't wait to get on this roller coaster. You run to the line, you're in line for the roller coaster. And the closer you get to the front of the line, you start freaking out and thinking, oh my God, this is going to be, why am I doing this? This is terrible. And you get on the roller coaster, it's going up that first hill, and you're saying, now it's too late to yell stop. They're not going to stop this roller coaster. I wish I hadn't gone on the roller coaster. And you go through it, it spins and twists and turns, and you pull up at the end. And if you love roller coasters, the first thing you do is get back in line. But on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you only get one chance at the roller coaster. So you have to enjoy it from the moment you get into the line to the moment it pulls up at the end. Because if you don't, you're going to wish you had. So I used to tell this story to contestants, and another producer heard me on the headset. So he started using it with his contestants. I could hear him through their microphone. So he has this contestant who's freaking out, and he says, so you like roller coasters? And the contestant goes, no, they terrify me. He goes, yeah, the show's just like that. Not good.
Did not help. you have a podcast now. Tell me
Yep.
about your podcast.
It's called Living Rich Sirop. And the point of it is to get people to live into their own truth, to remember who they are, the magic that already exists within, and stop trying to be somebody else. Be okay with who you are. You are the best version of yourself. You don't need to be somebody else. And the reason for that is the story I told you earlier. It's what I had to, when I wrote that book, I had to remember that I was okay just the way I was, and that being me was enough. So when I sit with people in my coaching sessions, a large part of what I'm trying to do is get rid of old stories, get rid of limiting beliefs, get rid of negative emotions, and then get them into their truth so that they can actually take steps towards what they really want, to hear that voice way down that's quieter than the voice that's telling you you're not good enough. That's the voice you want to get to and hear. By doing a podcast, I can reach more than one person at a time. So the goal is to take the stuff that I'm doing in the chair, get out of the chair and affect and help as many people as I can with each of these podcasts. And everybody who comes on the show, it's all about what they did, how they got there, how they overcame imposter syndrome, how they, the guy that I just had on that was in Bon Jovi's band, he was in the E Street Band. We talked about the first time he auditioned for the E Street Band, and he went in, and the entire band was sitting there. They didn't give him a set list. They didn't tell him the music that he was going to play. They threw him into the fire, and he just said, "Okay." He surrendered to it, and he was like, "I'm just going to play." And he didn't hit everything. Everything wasn't right. But that's what Bruce liked. Bruce said, "You're part of the band," because he was willing to go with the flow. He's willing to surrender to the process. He was willing to be authentic and not copy somebody else. And so that's what the podcast is helping people get to their truth by hearing other people's courage, hearing how their courage, the courage that you had just to get on the show, the fact that you became a speaker all over the place, now that you have a podcast and you're helping people with your message, you believed in your own magic. You could have gone out there and said, "Oh, I'm going to smash watermelons." Well, guess what? Somebody already did that. That's not what you're meant to do. You have your own message, and that is what the podcast is all about.
I don't want to waste a good watermelon anyway. That's nice. Now it's time for the fun round. So the first question.
This wasn't the fun? What was this?
This now it's time for the next fun.
Oh, okay, good. I thought that was pretty fun.
It was. It's. I knew when I got you to agree to be on the podcast, we were going to have fun. We're going to have a great conversation. Here's the question that I'm asking all the guests. I've actually put it out on social media. Which would you rather fight? A horse-sized chicken or 100 chicken-sized horses?
It's scary that I know the answer to this immediately. And the answer is a horse-sized chicken. And the reason for that, you didn't ask me for the reason, but I'm going to give it to you. If I lose to a horse-sized chicken, it's a great story. If I lose to a bunch of chicken-sized horses, it's just not so good. And I can strategize with one horse-sized chicken. I don't know the personalities of 100 chicken-sized horses. I don't know which ones are aggressive. Maybe, what if it only takes 10 of them to beat me? Then I'm the guy that lost to 10 chicken-sized horses.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any wrong answers to that question, but that was
There is one wrong answer.
Which is
100 horse-sized chickens.
Oh. There's also the debate, and I've had this debate with multiple AI platforms. What is the exact number of horse-sized chickens that would make chicken-sized horses?
Horse-sized chickens are the smaller ones.
Yeah. What the little ones?
Yeah. The horse-sized. Know your question. The horse-sized chickens.
Okay.
They're the small ones.
No, that's the big one. The horse-sized chicken is one big.
The chicken size. Oh God! Now you're gonna be all messed up.
You know what? And I would cut this, but it's more fun not to. So it's gonna make the final cut. What is the exact number of chicken-sized horses that would make it a fair fight between the two? And I don't. Everybody's got a different number there, obviously.
I mean, horses are really nice creatures.
They are.
They're probably, you probably could take on 1,000 chicken-sized horses. They're just going to run. All you got to do is break their leg. You break a horse's leg, it's over for them.
Yeah.
You're just breaking one leg at a time. Chickens are nasty things sometimes. You ever hold a chicken?
Once.
Right. They're smelly. They're sharp. That's why you got to fry your chickens.
Right. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't think I'd feel good about stomping on a bunch of little tiny chicken-sized horses. That would not be nice.
Yeah, they're cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're little horses. You don't want to mess with little horses.
No, no. There's an
I
ethics
think the
thing.
Rolling Stones wrote a song about this.
They did.
Yeah.
Wild chicken-sized horses. All right. Now we move to the game show part of the show, which is random questions from Chat GPT.
I
They,
like this.
yes. And we have three random questions that will pop up here in a second. I send the question to you, and you can say, I don't want to answer this one, Phil. You take it. Or you can answer it.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Ready? The first question is, if you had to replace your car horn with a sound effect, would you pick a goat scream, a kazoo solo, or Regis Philbin yelling? Is that your final answer?
Who? I think I'd pick a goat scream. I've heard Regis yelling, "Is that your final answer?" too much. Plus, it would make me think of him. I'd miss him.
Yeah,
I'm going with the goat scream.
good answer. Good answer. I think people would not get out of your way if they heard Regis. They're like, oh, is Regis around here? Is that somebody watching Millionaire? And
They don't know Regis then. If Regis yells, you get out of the way.
is that your final answer? If I could do a Regis voice right now, I would. All right.
Oh, he hated when people used to ask him that in the streets. He did. People would come up to him all the time and ask him to say it. He couldn't stand it.
All right. Number two, you are suddenly in charge of redesigning the US dollar bill. Who or what do you put on it, and why is it not a rubber chicken?
Hmm. Who or what do I put on the dollar bill? Oh, I think I put Betty White on the dollar bill. Betty White is beloved by everybody. She's not one side or the other. I feel like all of America, that's what's going on with America. Ever since Betty White passed, it hasn't been the same.
You're right. Yeah. And she almost made it to 100.
She did. And she was also, she game show history. She married the host of Password. It
Yep.
was the love of her life.
Yep.
I actually got to work with Betty White on the reboot of Password, and I was hosting in the rehearsal, and she was a guest. I couldn't believe it. I'm like,
Oh, how
I
cool.
am hosting Betty. She actually said to me, I slept with the last host, which was, amazing. Betty White was, whew, she was sharp.
Yeah. Yeah, she was awesome. We recently got a letter. There are Betty White stamps now. So,
Really? See, so
yeah.
I'm onto something.
Yeah, you are. Absolutely. She's on a stamp. Why not the dollar bill? All right. Third and final question. If you could instantly become an expert in any ridiculous, utterly useless skill, like competitive cheese rolling or speed origami, which one would you master?
This is a really good question. These take thinking. You can't just come up with this off the top of your head. There are so many things. I don't think this is a useless skill, though. I hate weeds.
Hmm.
I would like to be able to just point to a weed and have it evaporate so I don't have to get down on my hands and knees. But that feels more like a superpower.
It does.
I'm going to pass
Love
this one
that.
to you. I'm passing this one to you.
I I think those people, and I know they do it with trickery and computer trickery. I would like to be able to play rubber chickens in and have different ones, different notes, and play a song with different notes from a rubber chicken. I know I see it on YouTube, but I also know they're putting a different sound underneath it because you can't make multiple rubber chickens sing. Well, okay, they're a little different. Maybe I can do that. But
You know what I like is that you are so into the chicken thing because it's your thing that you talk about it like everybody knows these things. You're like, I know you see it on YouTube, all these people playing rubber chicken. I've never seen that on YouTube. I didn't even know it was a thing. They're totally faking it below the camera. Everybody knows that. It's like this might just be something you know.
okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair. Because I do have a lot of people sending me, have you seen this? The
Of
donkey Kong with
course.
rubber chicken and so on and so on. I've seen Led Zeppelin with rubber chickens. So I would like to become a rubber chicken musician.
I love it.
And I don't know of anything that could be more useless. What chicken keeps showing up for you? And we talked a little bit about this, but what chicken are you fighting right now and how do you fight it?
Every single one of us has a core emotional need. it's one of seven things. It's, am I secure? Am I safe? Am I loved? Am I wanted? Am I successful? Do I have a purpose? And that's the chicken that we're all frying, whatever that primary core emotional need is. And my primary core emotional need is, am I secure? So it develops between the ages of 0 and 7. You can't not have one. Everybody has one. And so that pops up for me where I feel like I don't have enough finances, or I feel like I don't have enough relationship resources. And now that I know that this thing exists within me, I'm able to actually treat it with positive affirmations internally rather than external validation. But that is my main forever. That's been my chicken. I didn't know it for a long time that that was my chicken, but not feeling secure in finances and relationships is the chicken that I fry.
Wow, that's great. Rich, this has been fantastic. Do you have any final words of wisdom for the audience?
Oh, you know what? I'll leave you with a quote that I love. It's by Joseph Campbell. The treasure you seek is in the cave you fear.
Ooh,
I think it's actually reverse. I think the quote is actually, the cave you fear often holds the treasure you seek, but same message.
yeah, that's really good. Rich, this has been fantastic. Where can people find you online?
You find me on my website, www.richsyropcoaching.com. I have a YouTube channel, Rich Syrup Coaching. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, pretty much anywhere there's social media, you can find me, Rich Syrup Coaching. Because my name's so unique, it's pretty easy to find.
Fantastic. Rich, thanks so much for being on today, and keep frying those chickens and look forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you so much. It's fun.